There are people who don't openly attack you, but they chip away at your confidence little by little. They won't call you names, but they'll make you question whether you're good enough. They don't argue with you outright, but they always have a way of making you feel like you're just a little bit off track. These people are chronic underminers, and wise women learn to recognize them and walk away silently but firmly. A chronic underminer rarely comes across as cruel or aggressive. They often disguise their criticism as helpful advice or concern. They'll say things like, "Are you sure you want to do that?" Or, "I just don't want you to get your hopes up." These comments seem harmless on the surface, but over time they plant seeds of self-doubt. And here's the tricky part. Because they sound reasonable, you start questioning whether they're right. Before you know it, you're shrinking, hesitating, and doubting the very dreams you once chased so boldly. The chronic underminer often operates from their own insecurity. They see your ambition, your courage, your willingness to take risks, and it unsettles them. Maybe they never allowed themselves to dream that big. Maybe they've been conditioned to believe that staying small is the safest route. So instead of celebrating your growth, they subtly try to keep you in a place that feels familiar and non-threatening to them. It's not always intentional, but the impact is the same. Their words create walls where there should be open doors. If you have someone in your life who constantly makes you second guess your choices, pay attention. Do they downplay your successes? Do they phrase their doubts in ways that make you feel silly for believing in yourself? Do you leave conversations with them feeling a little less sure of yourself than when you started? That's the hallmark of a chronic underminer. They don't come at you with blatant negativity. They use small, calculated remarks that slowly erode your confidence. One of the most dangerous things about chronic underminers is that they often come from places we least expect: friends, family, colleagues, even mentors. We want to believe that the people closest to us have our best interests at heart, but not everyone in our circle is rooting for us. And here's the hard truth. Some people love you, but they don't believe in you. They may care about you deeply, but they don't have the capacity to see your full potential. And if you're not careful, their doubt can start shaping your reality. So what do wise women do? They don't argue. They don't over-explain. They don't waste their energy trying to convince an underminer to believe in them. Instead, they create distance quietly, intentionally, and without apology. Because here's the thing. Your dreams, your goals, and your self-worth are not up for debate. You do not need permission to believe in yourself. And you certainly don't need to explain why you're choosing growth over comfort. When you step away from the chronic underminer, you create space for people who lift you up instead of tear you down. You surround yourself with voices that remind you what's possible, not ones that whisper doubt into your ear. You give yourself permission to step fully into the person you were meant to be, without hesitation, without guilt, and without looking back. So if someone in your life keeps making you feel small, pay attention. Trust your gut, and remember this. You are allowed to walk away from anyone who makes you doubt your worth, even if you have to do it silently. The energy vampire, those who drain your emotional reserves without replenishing them. There are people who don't physically harm you, yet after spending time with them, you feel exhausted. They don't raise their voices or throw insults, yet their presence leaves you emotionally drained. These people are energy vampires, individuals who take and take, pulling from your emotional reserves without ever giving back. Wise women recognize these people early and distance themselves before they become completely depleted. Energy vampires often disguise themselves as people in need. They come to you with their problems, their struggles, their latest crisis, and at first you feel honored to be their safe place. You listen, you comfort, you offer advice, but soon you start to notice a pattern. There's always something wrong. No matter how much support you give, they always seem to be drowning in some new drama, and your presence becomes less about mutual connection and more about being their emotional life raft. The tricky thing about energy vampires is that they rarely look like villains. In fact, many of them don't even realize what they're doing. They see you as their rock, their problem solver, their safe harbor in the storm. But what they fail to see is that you too have needs, that you too get tired, that relationships, whether friendships, partnerships, or family connections, are meant to be a two-way street, not a one-sided transaction where one person gives while the other constantly takes. If you've ever walked away from a conversation feeling utterly drained, if you've ever dreaded picking up the phone because you knew it would be another hour of absorbing someone else's stress, if you've ever felt guilty for needing space from a person who always seems to be in crisis, you might be dealing with an energy vampire. And let's be honest, recognizing this can be painful, especially when the person is someone you love. But here's the truth. You are not responsible for carrying the weight of someone else's emotional world. Being a good friend, partner, or family member does not mean sacrificing your peace for the sake of someone who refuses to take responsibility for their own well-being. There is a difference between support and self-sacrifice, and wise women learn to recognize the line between the two. So how do you protect yourself from energy vampires? You set boundaries, firm ones. You don't answer every call. You don't feel guilty for protecting your own energy. You don't allow yourself to be guilt-tripped into being someone's emotional dumping ground. And most importantly, you don't mistake their constant need for your presence as a sign of love. True love, true friendship, and true connection are reciprocal. They give just as much as they take. When you remove energy vampires from your life, something powerful happens. You reclaim your emotional reserves. You start to notice how much lighter you feel, how much more energy you have for things that truly matter, how much space opens up for relationships that nourish you instead of depleting you. And suddenly, you realize that your emotional well-being is worth protecting, not just for your own sake, but for the sake of the person you're becoming. So if you find yourself constantly exhausted by someone's presence, listen to that feeling. It's telling you something important. You are not here to be someone's emotional sponge. You are not here to carry burdens that aren't yours. And you are absolutely allowed to step back from anyone who drains you silently, without apology, and with your peace intact. The fair weather friend, those who show up only when it's easy or convenient for them. There's a special kind of heartbreak that comes from realizing that someone you thought was in your corner was only there for the good times, the laughter, the celebrations, the victories. They were right beside you, cheering you on. But the moment things got tough, the moment life asked a little more of them, they disappeared like a passing breeze. These are fair weather friends. People who show up when it's easy, but vanish when you need them the most. Wise women recognize them early and let them go, silently but surely. At first, fair weather friends seem like the real deal. They are fun, engaging, and present when life is light. They'll celebrate your wins, join you for happy moments, and be the first to say, "I'm so proud of you," when everything is going well. But their loyalty isn't rooted in deep connection. It's based on convenience. As soon as things get messy, whether it's a personal struggle, a season of grief, or a time when you need their support without the sparkle of celebration, they slowly fade into the background. The painful thing about fair weather friends is that they don't always leave in obvious ways. They don't necessarily betray you outright or say, "I don't want to be here for this." Instead, they quietly withdraw. They stop checking in. They take longer to respond to your messages. Their once enthusiastic presence is replaced by vague excuses and distance. And when you need them most, they're nowhere to be found. You might try to justify their absence. Maybe they're just busy. Maybe they don't know what to say. Maybe I'm asking too much. But deep down, you know the truth. Real friendships aren't only built for sunshine. They are meant to withstand the storms. A true friend doesn't disappear when the road gets rough. They walk beside you, even when the path is uncomfortable. Fair weather friends, on the other hand, are only invested in the version of you that's easy to be around. The hardest part of letting go of fair weather friends is accepting that they were never truly there for you in the first place. It's painful to realize that someone you valued saw your friendship as optional. But the moment you recognize it, you gain something powerful: clarity. You stop chasing people who were never meant to stay. You stop begging for presence from those who have already chosen absence. And most importantly, you make room for the kind of people who will show up, not just when it's easy, but when it matters. Wise women don't hold grudges against fair weather friends. They don't waste their energy resenting those who walked away when things got tough. Instead, they quietly take note, adjust their expectations, and move forward with grace. They don't beg for loyalty. They don't plead for consistency. They simply recognize that not everyone is meant to walk the full journey with them, and that's okay. When you release fair weather friends, you create space for something far greater: true, unwavering connection. The kind that shows up at 2 a.m. when you're struggling, not just at 7 p.m. when there's a party. The kind that listens when you're breaking, not just when you're winning. The kind that stays even when staying requires effort. Those are the relationships worth investing in, and those are the people who deserve a place in your life. So if someone has repeatedly shown you that they only want to be around for the highlight reel, believe them. Pay attention to who checks in when there's nothing to celebrate. And most importantly, remember this: you are worthy of friends who show up in all seasons, not just the easy ones. The drama magnet. Those who thrive on chaos and pull you into unnecessary emotional turmoil. Some people carry storms wherever they go. No matter what's happening in their lives, there's always a crisis, always conflict, always some tangled web of drama that demands attention. These people aren't just occasionally caught in tough situations. They thrive on chaos. They seek it, stir it, and drag everyone around them into it. Wise women recognize these drama magnets for who they are and walk away, silently but intentionally, before they get caught in the emotional whirlwind. At first, a drama magnet might seem exciting. They have big emotions, strong opinions, and a life that always seems to be unfolding like a suspense novel. Their stories pull you in. Who betrayed them this time? What outrageous thing happened at work? What argument did they get into today? At first, you might even feel honored that they trust you enough to confide in you. You listen, you support, and you try to help. But over time, you begin to notice something. There is always a new crisis. The drama never ends. And no matter how much advice or encouragement you offer, they don't actually want solutions. They want an audience. Drama magnets don't just live in chaos, they create it. If life is calm, they will find a way to disrupt the peace. They'll pick unnecessary fights, stir up misunderstandings, or exaggerate small issues into full-blown disasters. And if their own life isn't dramatic enough, they'll insert themselves into other people's problems just to feel involved. They thrive on attention, reaction, and emotional intensity. And if you let them, they will pull you into their never-ending storm. The danger of a drama magnet is that they don't just bring chaos, they steal your peace. You might find yourself feeling emotionally drained after every interaction with them. You might notice that you're spending more time managing their problems than focusing on your own life. You might even find yourself in the middle of conflict that has nothing to do with you simply because they dragged you into their latest emotional disaster. And the longer you stay connected to them, the harder it becomes to separate their turmoil from your own well-being. Wise women understand that peace is a choice. And that means choosing who you allow into your inner circle. It means asking yourself, does this person bring me calm or do they bring me stress? Do I feel grounded after spending time with them or do I feel emotionally exhausted? Because here's the truth. You do not have to participate in every drama that invites you in. Just because someone is in crisis does not mean you have to be their emotional caretaker. Just because they thrive on conflict does not mean you have to be their audience. The hardest part of walking away from a drama magnet is that they will not let go easily. They are used to people feeding into their emotional roller coaster. And when you start to step back, they will find ways to pull you back in. They may guilt trip you. I thought you cared about me. Provoke you. So you just don't want to deal with real issues. Or even create new drama just to get your attention. But the moment you recognize this pattern, you take back your power. You stop reacting. You stop engaging, and you stop allowing their chaos to dictate your emotional state. Protecting your peace does not make you cold or unkind. It means recognizing that you were not put on this earth to be someone else's emotional dumping ground. It means valuing your own mental and emotional well-being enough to say, I choose calm over chaos. It means surrounding yourself with people who handle life with maturity, resilience, and self-awareness, not those who constantly manufacture drama to feel relevant. So, if someone in your life is always at the center of conflict, if they seem to bring negativity wherever they go, if they pull you into turmoil that isn't yours to carry, pay attention. Protect your peace. And remember, you don't have to fight a battle that was never yours to begin with. The master manipulator, those who twist your kindness into a tool for their own gain. Some people see kindness as a gift, something to be cherished and reciprocated. But others, they see it as an opportunity, a tool to be bent and twisted for their own benefit. These are the master manipulators, the people who don't take what they need by force, but by carefully orchestrating situations that make you feel obligated to give. They don't demand, they subtly control. They don't beg, they guilt trip. And before you know it, you're caught in a web where your kindness is no longer a choice, but an expectation. Master manipulators are experts at reading people. They can sense who has a big heart, who struggles with saying no, and who is willing to sacrifice their own needs for the sake of others. They prey on those who are compassionate, generous, and eager to help. They know exactly what strings to pull, whether it's using guilt, playing the victim, or positioning themselves as someone in desperate need of your support. And at first, it might feel like you're simply being a good person by helping them. But over time, the pattern becomes clear. They aren't looking for support. They're looking for control. One of the most dangerous aspects of a master manipulator is their subtlety. Unlike obvious users or toxic people who demand things outright, manipulators make you feel like it was your idea to go out of your way for them. They twist words to make you question your own judgment. They might say things like, I just thought you cared more, or I guess I was wrong to believe I could count on you. They make you feel guilty for setting boundaries, as if your self-care is somehow an act of betrayal. And if you ever dare to pull away, they'll find a way to turn the tables and make you the villain in their story. Perhaps the most exhausting part of dealing with a master manipulator is that they rarely take responsibility for their actions. If they hurt you, they'll twist the situation until you feel like you're overreacting. If you call them out, they'll turn the conversation around so that you end up apologizing. They rewrite history, shift blame, and create just enough doubt that you begin to question whether you're the problem. And the longer you stay in their orbit, the more your confidence begins to erode under the weight of their quiet, calculated control. Wise women recognize that manipulation is not love, and obligation is not friendship. Real relationships are built on mutual respect, not silent pressure. True kindness is given freely, not extracted through guilt or deception. The moment you realize that someone is twisting your generosity into a tool for their own gain, you have a choice. Continue playing their game or step away and reclaim your power. And make no mistake, walking away is power. Setting boundaries with a master manipulator will never be easy. They will push back. They will test you. They may even try to make you feel like you're cruel for pulling away. But here's the truth. Anyone who punishes you for protecting your peace was never interested in your well-being to begin with. Love doesn't manipulate. Friendship doesn't coerce. And kindness is not a contract that binds you to someone else's expectations. When you remove a master manipulator from your life, something incredible happens. You breathe again. You feel lighter, stronger, more in control of your own decisions. You stop second guessing yourself. You stop walking on eggshells, wondering if you're doing enough for someone who never planned to give anything in return. And best of all, you make space for real relationships, ones where kindness is a gift, not a bargaining chip. So if someone in your life constantly makes you feel obligated, guilty, or trapped, pay attention. Trust your instincts. And remember, your kindness is not a tool to be used. It is a light to be shared with those who truly appreciate it.